Okay, trying this one more time. Oh my lord. Go live! Okay. Oh, fucking finally. Oh my god. There we go. Now I'm gonna pop out the chat. What the actual fuck with these technologies not working? I was filming or recording with Shay for Sultry Circus a few times, and we were just like, what the fuck is this Mercury ass feeling retrograde? It's not Mercury retrograde at all, but anyway, got my Dread Pirate KK here, streaming live from the Crossroads. Welcome to Midnight Diner, episode 6. Calling this the Summer Solstice Bog Witch edition. And this Bog Witch has a little portable AC unit because there's no air conditioning up in this studio. We're gonna see how it goes. I might need to take my glasses off if I start sweating, but so far we're pretty good. All right. Welcome in, everyone. We are going to, I have no idea what we're going to be, I have notes, but I am not sure what's actually going to come out of my mouth because I have had very little sleep this past week. Very little sleep. The energies are kind of a lot, and it's all good. I mean, most of it is, there's still some tension and stuff, but for me, anyway, it's like, I'm learning a lot. There's been some activations and some very interesting energies. And anyway, we're just going to get into it and talk a little bit about the astrology of what's going on, because so this week has been so packed because we just got out of a big square energy, like two square, one, Mars and Uranus were in a square, and Jupiter and Saturn were in a square. And that tension sort of eased up a little bit on the 17th, or that was kind of like the eye of the storm kind of thing, and we're kind of moving into these other energies, which is the summer solstice, the Jupiter Cazimi, and the Cancer new moon, all within like a few days of each other. So happy solstice. And so, Jupiter Cazimi, for anybody who doesn't know, it's a Cazimi is when a planet is conjunct the sun, and so it's like, it's not only feeling like you're in the underworld a little bit because the sun is eclipsing everything that planet represents, and Jupiter's, faith and higher learning and meaning making. Like, how do you look at this fucking earth and be like, what is even going on right now? And so that, it's like being excavated a little bit. Going through the Cazimi is basically, going through the underworld, and the sun is kind of combusting everything. It's just like, it's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just, it can be just a little complicated feeling. So I think it's a yummy energy usually, even though you're going to the underworld. It sounds like you're kind of death and all that stuff, which, yeah, but also there's a real big expansion. Jupiter's also the planet of expansion. And so we're just in some stuff. I'm going to also be taking a lot of breaks to hydrate because fucking hot. And also it is just smart to stay hydrated. There's a lot, like, when I say there's a lot of energies right now that I've been experiencing, like activations and stuff, I had a massive masculine energy activation and a massive feminine energy activation all in the last couple days. So I'm like, oh. And for me, it feels very good, but I do also get that there is, Shay, love you, hello. How's it going? We're just getting into the astrology of the day, the solstice, the Jupiter Cazimi, and the Cancer new moon coming up, and talking about, I have some notes, but I am not real sure what's going to come out. I'm also trying this new air thing, so if my audio sucks, sorry, but let me know. I don't know. There's nothing I can really do, but whatever. The last time I used a freaking, yes, perfect timing. The last time I used my good microphone, the sound fucking sucked. I was making a clip trying to post it on TikTok, and I was like, what the fuck? And that was my good microphone. So I'm just back to using my computer microphone because I don't think it'll pick up all the fan sounds, but who fucking noise. Okay, so you can hear it. Great. Amazing. Love that for me. You know, one of these days I'm gonna have this amazing setup and it's gonna be this professional studio, and these days of trash goddessing are gonna just be like, wow, you know. Great. I will be able to hear it on my recording. Amazing. Well, oh, I know what I need to get. One of those freaking lapel microphones. Send me the deets on the one you have. I want to get a lapel microphone. Whatever. We're just gonna again fly the ship as we come, as we're building it. Maybe, yeah. Hopefully. Well, yeah. I guess there is some nice little, the magic studio or whatever that Riverside has. So, thanks for the link. Yeah, so that's the astrology right now. So it's a lot of energy and a lot of activations. Oh, and I was saying drink water because, like, our bodies, you know, the electromagnetic field, there's, you know, our electricity flows through us, and it's just conduces better with, like, a lot of water, and also it's just good to stay hydrated, and I don't know, I am just, eat protein and drink fucking water. I'm dying over here. Anyway, okay, I just wanted to quickly mention holographic learning too. So I feel like I haven't really talked about this in a while because I've had a couple episodes and I'm not even sure I've actually mentioned what holographic learning is, but as you're listening to all the things that I'm saying, not all of it is going to make sense, not all of it's going to resonate, you know, whatever, and just let it wash over you and allow your subconscious to kind of pick up on the details it needs to pick up on, and kind of blooms the knowing and the questions and all the understandings later. And as I say the same thing over and over again, or like I speak about the same subjects, that's the holographic part. It's like a spiralic layer. You just like, you hear the same information and it's like you understand it differently the second time around, third time around, you know, whatever. And so you just deeper and you kind of look at it differently, and it becomes like this whole mental map of, oh, I didn't look at it this way or this way. So if I ever say things that you just don't understand or whatever, just let it wash over you. It's cool. You'll understand it. So anyway, we have had some developments in the outside in the outside world. The I'm going to try and tie it all together with like my activations this week, and then also what is going on in the world. And I know it looks pretty bad out there with the whole war stuff and all that, and they're desperately trying for World War III. It won't happen. That doesn't mean there won't be conflict, but it's there's no energy there. There are so many people out there who are just on both sides of our fucking political spectrum going like, what are we doing? We're all expecting the false flags. We're all expecting, like, you know, so we're calling it out, and the splits are really happening. Like, the split is just incredibly loud right now. Like, friendships, marriages, relationships of all kinds breaking up. If you're really not supposed to be with someone, you're gonna know it by now. It's gonna be, and you know, there's different levels of the process where some people are ending that stuff already, some people are in the middle of it, some people have just begun. And I feel like the next couple of years are going to be a final, like, clear out your shit, get right with your truth, and moving on to a new era starting in 2027. So I don't know, if you're going through it, I know it sucks, but there's this new wave of awakening online right now, and people are in dark nights of the soul, and I know how that feels, and we'll get into a lot of this stuff. So if you're watching this and you have questions and you're like, wait, most of these themes are universal, because we're all moving through the hero's journey for the last time until we moved into this new energy, this new era. And so the dark night of the soul can be a big part, like refusal of the call. So if you kind of know what's going on for you right now, what you're dealing with, and like maybe you're facing a breakup of some kind, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna keep working on it. I would always rather hear a bit of a jagged truth rather than like the comfort of a lie. So I'm just like, I'm gonna say that, yeah, it might suck really bad right now, but and you might be facing losing literally everything, like your legacy, your family, your job, your massive major tower moments for a lot of people. And as someone who has no job, no money, all the things that people are afraid of losing, I've never been happier in my entire life. And I have talked a lot about moving through a lot of fear and burning out that fear circuitry and kind of remembering and understanding how to find my own internal safety. And so, yeah, I still don't have a job. I still don't have money coming in, whatever. But looking at the resources I do have, like I have amazing friends who make my life incredible. It's just awesome what we can talk about, what we do for each other. Life is just incredible. And the resources you need find you, and you're building the actual true foundation now. Anything that's crumbling is I don't want to say it's a lie, but it's just sort of, it was based on an illusion. We were playing in a game that was very illusory, and so we're like, oh, we think we want this thing or this whatever, and now it's like, wait, no, I didn't actually want that, but like your programming makes you think that you do, and you're like, I can't lose this and that, and it's hard. And be gentle with yourself. Like, you're going through a lot, and it's probably not a whole lot of fun for a lot of people right now, but that's what, I'm a lighthouse. I've been through this. Carl Jung has been through that. He's written, like, if you need a place to start, just start with that. So anyway, holographic learning kind of applies to, I'm just kind of ADDing. We're just doing this at the Midnight Diner. So I kind of wanted to explain a little bit more about like how this school is shaping up, because that's been part of my activations this week. And I couldn't figure out, like, I know I'm supposed to, in my school mission statement on my Twitch bio, it's like, we cannot be galactic citizens without first becoming fully realized Earth citizens. And that means that we're basically right now being shoved all together. We cannot escape anymore. We can't, no more secrets. We have got to learn to get along, or else, and we will make it. That's the whole purpose of kind of coming to the Midnight Diner, and with the benefit of someone who can see the future, and it's very bright and beautiful, and it's a guaranteed bright, beautiful future, but we can't do nothing. We have to take the steps to get there. And so that's why all the shadows are coming up, and all the ugliness is just out in the open. And we're in a Mars ruled year, and Mars is a very mastery over your deepest fears and things you've been hiding from, and you're going to be sitting in a lot of discomfort, because it's also the year of the snake, which ties in, because as the snake sheds its skin, it needs a lot of friction to get that skin off, and it's fucking uncomfortable. So, oh, hello, I don't know who you are, but I am welcoming you into the chat. I am good. Hopefully this is not I don't know how to do any moderation, so I'm just kind of chilling. Anyway, so yeah, I could feel that I've been moved into helping people learn how to be these fully, realized Earth citizens, especially with like the galactic, the revamping the farming practices and going more towards regenerative farming and the indigenous wisdom and all that stuff. But I don't know shit about farming, really. I mean, I can work. I grew up on a farm. I can do the, I can do the jobs, but I have no idea what actually is all entailing, what all is entailed with this stuff. But I do have the galactic stuff. I got the galactic history, the energy, the astrology, the human design, fucking just broad overviews of this more of the cosmology, that we're kind of waking up to, that we're not alone, and all that stuff. And so one of the activations I've been having this week is like starting planting seeds with a partner who will be helping me with the Earth part of this Earth galactic thing. And it's so appropriate to the Pisces Virgo nodal axis that we're in, where Pisces is like the galactic, Akashic records, all that stuff, and Virgo is the Earth realm, and it's like the everyday things you do to, bring your dream into form and do the plans and all kind of stuff. So it's really cool how things are starting to come together, and none of it is like, again, I know it's going to happen, but that doesn't mean you got to still do the work in the meantime. And so it's not just things are gonna start moving. I mean, they're already insanely fast, but things are gonna be moving even quicker once Uranus moves into Gemini on the 7/7 portal. And so I also wanted to talk about that placement too, because a lot of astrologers are talking about how whenever Uranus is in Gemini, the US is in war, basically. And Uranus takes about 84 years to get across, to return to its original place in the zodiac. And the United States, in its birth chart, has Uranus in Gemini. And we were in the Revolutionary War. And then the Civil War, Uranus was in Gemini, and World War II, Uranus in Gemini, and now we're moving up on that again. So a lot of astrologers are talking about that, and it's not that they're incorrect on this stuff. I don't believe we won't have the war. We will have conflict, but what is happening right now is tying into the split that's happening with people who are choosing to live in fear or to move into the awakening and go into the unknown and start this brighter future, and living in love and creativity and breaking out of the confines of the programming. On the political front, which is basically this world stage kind of thing, Trump is in the middle of letting down his base, the MAGA base. They're all like, excuse me, you said no wars. We voted for you because of that. And so the split with the, he's in between, he's in a rock and a hard place, because the people control him with money, like blackmail it, whatever. It's like he's gonna. Anyway, you can see what's happening where there's no room to go, and the truth is just like exploding out basically. So we're not gonna survive. The United States is not gonna be. It's not going to survive the way that it is. We're going to break up into smaller city states, or I don't know how it's going to actually work. Maybe it starts with regions or any of that secessions. Maybe Texas or California started off. I don't know. But we're definitely moving into a breaking apart of the empire. So yes, there is conflict and like splitting and, war. It's going to be destruction of some kind, but it's going to be good. And so trust, like everything that's happening to you, you're going to be moved into the exact place you need to be safe. You're always safe, like whatever's happening. It's just, it's a bumpy fucking bus ride. So we're going to make it though. But yeah, that's what's happening. And so I'm not worried again with the whole, like, I know what the future is. I know we're moving through this. And because we can all see what's happening with the false flags and all that stuff, we're not gonna take it. And so one of the reasons I called this Bog Witch edition is because it kind of ties into the last episode I did, which was called Be Gay, Do Crimes. And you don't have to be gay to be gay, do crimes. It's just a vibe, kind of like Bog Witch. Just awaken your inner Bog Witch and do what the fuck you want. This is pirate shit we're talking about. Like, break the law, and do it in ways that make you feel comfortable, to start off. But like this period of time, we're all going to be a little uncomfortable. Well, those of us who've kind of are used to being uncomfortable, it's kind of like, okay, here we go, like what the fuck ever. But there's a lot of people whose identities are still very much tied to the old systems, and they're the ones who are really feeling the collapse the hardest, because it's the wave. It's like a universal 2x4 to the face. You're just like, excuse me, what? But if you know what's coming, you can kind of duck the 2x4 and be like, whew, I learned my lesson, because I remember this thing, and I know when the things are coming to hit me, and we can just kind of move through that. But anyway, this is another Be Gay, Do Crimes kind of vibe. Just awaken the inner Bog Witch and do what the fuck you want, and it's gonna be illegal, okay? And fucking do it. So I'm kind of I'm feeling a little salty again, and I know I have not had a lot of sleep, but I'm just in general bringing out my natural saltiness. And so yeah, we've been navigating a fall in group consciousness, and we're now moving into the return of a group consciousness. And so that's why, find the lighthouses, that's why we're all here. That's why we're sharing our stories and stuff. And it's very important for you to share your stories and get to know your own voice, and like get to know your own self, and find your people. Because again, with the collapse of everything, your life might be completely falling apart, and you're going to lose a lot of people, and maybe you feel like you don't have anyone, or maybe only a couple people or whatever, and it feels scary. And yeah, it is. But I will tell you, on the other side of that, I never gave up anything I didn't I missed, really. Like, I loved my life, and I'm not judging any parts of me that had that life before me, but, you know, I don't want to go back to anything that I had. And so, just as an encouragement, sort of giving out some hugs and love. It's just like, you're gonna make it. It's gonna be okay. We're kind of, this period of time to me feels like, again, I see a lot of stuff in music, and so we're in like a, you know how in music sometimes there'll be harmonies and it sounds really beautiful, whatever, and then there'll be some tension building and some like maybe some really kind of crunchy disharmony, blah blah blah, and then it like resolves into this like, oh my gosh, the amazing, back to like the harmony, really just a release, a cathartic release. We're in that dissonance part right now, and we are going to resolve into the harmony, but it was helping me visualize it that way, to kind of enjoy the dissonance, because it really is all part of the song. It's like a universal song. And so it's a difficult path, but as we cross the abyss, we kind of draw in the people that we can help navigate it with, and move to group consciousness in little groups. We need to practice figuring out how to be in group consciousness, because it's going to happen. It's just a natural galactic cycle of moving through the photon belt and all kinds of things that are just, you can explain it scientifically, not just spiritually. So a lot of unmasking too, like it was from my crypto world in particular, but like this is the time where the illusions crumble, and a lot of people in the crypto world that I'm in, they'll have like cartoon avatars, or just never show their faces online, or very private, and it's understandable, because you know we're all, it's a little bit of an interesting time. But I've noticed this past week, people are starting to post they're like, I'm ready to unmask, and here I am. They don't use those words, but it's like revealing the true identities, and it's finally safe to be who you are. And that's been part of my activations this past week. Especially one just happened last night, and I'm just like, oh my god. Okay, I had my masculine activation the day before, and then last night was the feminine. Shay, if you're still there, I haven't even told you about. I've just been like, oh my, and it was all really good, but again, it kind of came from, there was a little bit of tension, is like not really, it's a little bit too strong of a word, but it was definitely a boss battle for me in a lot of ways, and I fucking handled it like a boss. I was like, okay, and I was really amazed at my own soul growth and watching my human self, like the person, I have become the person that my 13-year-old self was. She's fucking in awe of me, because I never thought I could be, this person. And so I'm sitting here with these activations and handling these boss battles, and I'm like, damn, I'm really. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. You gain so much amazingness going through all the crunchiness, so it does get better. But there's a lot of conflict to get there. But yeah, my feminine activation in particular revolved around the safety thing. I don't know, I'm still kind of chewing on it, because it's still a little bit new, so this will be me kind of flailing a little bit through as I talk about it. But the feminine activations, it was like, well, anyway, I'm not even sure I want to go into it, but like it's being safe to be myself, and how I saw that, like, everything in my younger, in the previous chapter, everything I would try to do or think, be like, why can't I make this work or that work? And none of it was safe I couldn't make those things work, because it wasn't safe to be who I was. And so I had to just kind of conform to the false matrix and do whatever. And then now that people are actually listening to me, that was one of my original wounds, is like, I will fucking give all this amazing insight and great advice, and people are like, good. They don't know. So I finally just kind of, you learn to stop talking and whatever. And that's, moving. I've had experiences in the past week where one person in particular has actually taken in what I have to say, and instead of dismissing it or not listening, it's like, they get it. They're like, oh, what I'm hearing you say is blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yes. So, and I don't think we're going to heal all this stuff in one life, or speaking for myself, and like the healing of the wounds and all that stuff. I spent a lot of time for, you know, when you first awaken and you learn about like taking responsibility for your own pain and your own reality and all kinds of everything. You start to see that healing the trauma, you have to go into it and feel all the feelings and you know, bring all the parts home. And so there's a few wounds, like the main ones in particular, that I've been kind of sitting with lately, and I feel good about where I am with that healing. And I also don't believe that I'm meant to heal everything fully in this lifetime. I've healed what I've come to heal, and now I kind of, yes, I may still have some triggers about those old wounds. I won't react in the same way. I definitely have a much stronger sense of self and self-worth, and I know that I have my own back. I am my own best partner, and anyone going through a breakup right now or whatever, even though it feels really lonely and all kinds of everything and scary, you're going to be shoved into some measure of isolation so that you can prove to yourself that you do have your own back, and you can start to trust yourself again instead of relying on external authorities to tell you who you are and what you want and all kinds of stuff. But so instead of going digging for trauma these days to be like, okay, what do I heal next? What do I heal next? It's like, I'm okay. I've done what I came to do in this lifetime, and now another lifetime I will be able to clear it all out, for example, or whatever. So I'm kind of just like, this is very Chiron coded. Like, Chiron is the wounded healer in astrology. It's an asteroid, and it represents our deepest wounds, and where our deepest wounds are where the medicine is to share and heal others. And so Chiron was this immortal, or is, I guess, immortal. You can't die. I guess he still exists. He's this immortal centaur who was fatally wounded, but because he can't die, he didn't die from the wounds. He's just always fucking in pain or whatever. But he learned to heal what he could heal of himself. And even though he still deals with that, you know, those wounds, he's fucking living his life, you know, and he's living in joy and healing others and all kinds of stuff. And yes, still living with the grief and all kinds of everything. And that's kind of where we are right now. And so, you know, oh, I'm hearing sirens, confirmation. But yeah, we're all just, don't push yourself to fix everything. It's more just calling your parts home and making sure that you love yourself and you have your own. But yeah, more splits, for example, like not just the government, but I was noticing in the disclosure, like the alien, you know, Galactic Federation type people or whatever, channelers and all that stuff. There's major splits in there. And I think in my streams in the past, I have mentioned both Alex Collier and Elena Denon, and those two in particular, they're famous they're pretty well known in certain circles or whatever. And there's a whole group of them that have been friends and on each other's shows and conferences, whatever. And now there's like some drama. And so I don't think that people are all bad or all good or all wrong or all right. So a lot of, even if those two individuals are compromised or, you know, whatever, I still believe that they have good information, and I don't think that anybody really sets out to, you know, to deceive or whatever. It's just like when you feel the truth resonating in your body, it's like, okay, I'm going to share what I, you know, have been given. And that's why it's so important to have discernment muscle strength as well as spiritual strength, because if you're getting information that shows you that you're incorrect or that you are, you know, your truth needs to evolve, if your identity is so closely tied to like this particular channel or this particular being or, you know, whatever the story, and if you hold too tight to it, you're gonna, and it sounds like those people are kind of holding on pretty tightly to their old identities, and I don't know, and I don't really care, and I'm not trying to get into drama or anything like that. I'm just trying to explain, like, some of these splits are happening are pretty fucking interesting, because this is where the wheat gets separated from the chaff, and like the real, if you follow Galactic Federation stuff, and again, just let this wash over you if it doesn't resonate, but for the people who do follow this Galactic Federation things, there's a lot of psyops. The Galactic Federation of Light is a CIA psyop or whatever, and then the real Galactic Federation is, even in that, recently, the past week or so, with all these squares and all this insane energy that's been happening, I have heard reports that there have been some betrayal in what we thought were the good guys, or the ones that were here to help us and stuff. And so there's a lot of like disclosure, like alien disclosure in particular has been kind of set back a little bit. So in my last stream I was talking about, like, as the months go by, we're probably going to get some more alien disclosure, because this is the year that, and we might still, I don't know, they can't hide shit forever, but like what they're trying to do is do the World War III thing, or like the fake ass Diddy trial that I still follow, because like, of course I fucking am watching the live stream of the apocalypse, and this is part of it, and it's just kind of fun. But they're not, actually getting the big guys. Like, yes, Diddy might be a thing. It's just like the Epstein stuff. It's just like a next layer of it, and the handlers and stuff, they're kind of still being protected. And so we'll get there, but it's just a real there's some delays. So I have also heard, and this resonates, and it kind of, because it was kind of tying into some of the astrology I was feeling, and just the energy in general. But like when they try to do something like war or whatever, which I feel like is probably going to start ramping up when Uranus goes into Gemini in July, whatever false flags happen, they're going to happen. Just kind of let it ride out and do your part to, either clean up your own backyard or help other people as you have energy. But like, just anyway, know your role in the revolution. Find your note in the song, and you don't have to do what your neighbor does or your friend does or whatever. You can find your own role. I'm not going to be a fighter in this revolution. I'm going to be cleanup and like building the new shit and all kinds of stuff. So we all need, we need childcare during the revolution, okay? So people have to do all the jobs. But motherfucker, I lost my train of thought. Oh yes, the false flags and the war. Okay, so when something big like that happens, it's probably also going to bring in the financial reset to some degree. And I don't know how it's going to play out, but keep an eye on what they don't want you to. So if you're following any crypto news, especially like with XRP or just particularly XRP. I know there's other, I've mentioned other ones in the past stream or whatever, and most people aren't even going to know they're using XRP. It's just going to be the rails of the new financial system. And so there'll be quietly released and buried announcements about, something new happening with the financial system. Something is going to go down. I just feel like it is. And it's going to be good. It's going to be amazing. But like, it's just going to look like a lot of bad news all up front. Oh my gosh, I'm so sweaty. But that's with the trickster energy. Things that look bad are not necessarily bad. They're going to work out for the best, but just to kind of put that out there. Okay, I'm also looking at my notes. I'm not trying to fucking... Okay, so we did that. Oh, yeah, and I wanted to say again, like kind of going back to the splits and the breakups and like if you're losing everything and all kinds of stuff, and how I was talking about like I don't have a job, no money, whatever, but I see where I am rich in so many other resources. And one of those is... it feels like I am reborn, and I don't. In numerology, everyone has a life path number, whatever. Mine is 11, and I took a numerology course, a numerology and the tarot course, and the way she was talking about the number 11 really resonated with me. And she compared, it was a corresponding, like 11 is kind of obviously there's 1 through 10 in the tarot. It's like the cups, swords, whatever, there's 1 through 10. Then there's page, knight, queen, and king. And so the page is like the number 11, where you've it's kind of like you've been through school one round, and then you go to your master's degree, sort of, which is sort of learning, doing the same shit, but at like a higher level. But like you have that basis of curiosity and like the foundation, so you're just like starting new, but like at this mastery level, and that's kind of where I am right now. It feels like as I take every step to do this, I am so alive. I'm so I have so much joy, and yes, interspersed a lot of times with this, fear and anxiety and stuff, but like lately with all these energies, it has felt like I am this baby, but like with all the knowledge that it's like going back to college or whatever, but like knowing everything you know now kind of shit. So you're still going to learn things and be challenged, but it's going to be like, whoa, I get to experience, it's like being a kid again. And so everything is new, and leaning into beginner mindset is really important, and that's been hard for me because I have this, perfectionism, whatever, and gifted and talented kid who's burnt out and all kinds of shit. And so if I'm like not immediately perfect at something, I'm like, I can't do it, and I melt down and whatever. But this time I've been like leaning into beginner's mindset, like with the garden that I'm starting and this whole new life that I'm starting, this fucking school that I'm doing. I'm like, I don't know anything about anything. And watching myself move through this, it's like I am so fully present that every moment is juicy and amazing. And I can learn, can I do astral projection? Hello. Interesting that you brought that up, because we all do it. So I know I have, but I don't have memories of it, and I can't really control it or like command it. But this is one of the things that I feel like is coming online, in particular for me. I don't know if maybe other people kind of resonate with this, but like I've been getting messages around needing less sleep, like physical sleep, but being in a dream state more frequently. And so still getting like rest or whatever. And again, this is kind of, I'm chewing on this. I don't really know how it's going to play out or like whatever. So I'm kind of first round of talking about it, but I'm pretty sure that the next phase of this stuff is going to be more conscious astral travel / lucid dreaming. And when people talk about, try to fear monger about the grid going down and the phones not working and blah, 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 that's when our natural abilities like that come online. And so that's why I mean you're always going to be safe, because like no matter what happens in the external, you have those superpowers, and telepathy is coming online, all kinds of stuff. And so even though it doesn't feel like it right now, we're going to be activated in ways where we can still be in touch with the people we need to be in touch with, even over long distances. And I feel like that includes things like astral travel. We can do it consciously and hang out with the people we need to hang out with, even if our fucking cell phones don't work or the internet is down. So I'm not really worried about any of this stuff, but they're going to do their best to do some fear mongering. So I don't know. Don't fucking listen to it. Be a bog witch and take your energy back. But yeah, kind of like going back a little bit to the experiencing life as a fresh new baby. It's like my inner child it's not like she's driving the bus, so to speak, but she's like the navigator. And so it's kind of like a partnership between my adult self with all the wisdom and experience and her joy of like, let's follow our joy, and when I was making the promo for the stream, I was hype. Oh my God. I was like, girl, this is so good. I was so, and that kind of joy lifted you. And I just sat there, as I took a break or whatever. And I was just like feeling all the juicy yumminess of life and how I'm like doing all these creative things that I never thought I could do and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, that's on the other side of this crazy, tower moments, everything falls apart, everything. It's just insane. It's like you get to build from the ground up, and yeah, it sucks in one way because you've lost everything, but you get to build something brand new, but it's not like you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You just like take the true parts, like the juicy, like the actual things that are going to come with you into the next chapter, like the wisdom and the strength from it, and leaving the weaknesses and the crumbling parts behind and doing something brand new. And leaning into that beginner's mindset, even though you've lost everything, it's like, but look what I get to build. Even if you don't know what it is yet, I don't really know what it is, but it's like you get to experience this joy through a healed inner child. And so I just want to encourage people, anybody going through this craziness, it's like, it's awesome, but it also sucks. So, are characters in our night dreams real or are they from our imagination? I have asked them if they are real, and they usually don't respond. So, okay, I love talking about dreams. To me, I have been keeping a dream journal since 2020. So if you haven't already, I really recommend starting that. And I spent a lot of mornings being real pissed off that I wasn't getting extra sleep because I had to write down the fucking. And if it's better to sort of like make a voice memo or something, like whatever. But like, I seriously just encourage you to write down your dreams, because as you start to see the patterns, the dream interpretation is just like, you get so many cool messages and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, having this many years of experience interpreting my own dreams and drawing cards and all kinds of stuff, when I get confused, I've learned about enough patterns that I can tell a difference between, like when I actually do travel to like a spaceship or another world, or like a lot of times you'll dream, a lot of us dream about like conference centers and shopping malls and food courts, movie theaters, things like that. To me, the movie theater, I think, is like the Akashic Records, but it can be multiple things. But anyway, like food courts and conference centers and all that kind of stuff, that's where we all kind of gather in the dream state as souls to like kind of, it's like Earth school. It's like alien school, basically. We're kind of downloading with each other like what we've done and experienced with these themes, and we kind of help. It's like a teaching and learning thing, but we're kind of just chilling at a conference center. I don't know why they show up as conference centers, but or food courts. Food courts are hilarious. I'm like, hell yeah, we're hanging out at a mall again. Or sometimes you'll dream about like a university type setting. Mine usually has like brick buildings and looks kind of like the campus, that I grew up with in my town, but not quite. And other people dream of like Hogwarts type buildings, that kind of thing. That's alien school. And I call it alien school because it's just funny. Like, we're all aliens and we're all up there kind of like figuring out what the fuck we're doing here on Earth school, because our human selves have no fucking memory. Anyway, so I talk a lot about dreams. Sorry, I'm getting to the point. But so those are like the actual traveling dreams. And then there's the other dreams I feel like are us going into a Star Trek like holosuite kind of thing, where we're working out stuff that our human selves need to work through in the physical realm. And so like if you're dreaming about bathrooms and that kind of stuff, bathtubs, showers, stuff that's like flushing out the old energy, the old karma, like you're flushing it out. And a lot of times we'll be in like a public bathroom and you're like, where's the door? Like all kinds of like bathrooms are so weird. And it's like, cause we're all fucking flushing similar karma or patterns and stories and like decolonizing our minds from capitalism and stuff. And we're flushing out those programs. And so we'll dream about bathrooms, or, one time I had a dream where I was like, there was a lot of poop, let's just say. And I was like, I really cleared some stuff, and I think I even died in the dream. So if you die in the dream, it's like your an aspect of you is you dying, and is dying, that kind of thing. And so you're waking up, and kind of like as you work things out in the dream space, in that holosuite or whatever, it clears out a lot of the density because you're in a state of relaxation and there's no resistance. So your higher self, which is you, basically, they can kind of clear out some of the blockages energetically, so that when you face those triggers in waking life, it's a bit easier. And it doesn't necessarily feel easier to our human selves because you're triggered and you're like, what the fuck? But it's like this amazing opportunity to just kind of like flail your way through it or whatever, and be like, oh, I dealt with that. I'm amazing. So you just kind of, it gets easier and easier as you go. But I think that's what dreams are, is us working it out. So that is a very long way coming actually to answer the question. I think that people are real in your dreams in certain instances, but most often as you're working these things out, if somebody shows up, I get a lot of celebrities in my dreams, or like friends or any of that stuff, and they are just an aspect of you, but represented by whatever that person represents to you. So like, for example, if I have a dream about, I'll just say the dream that I had recently, which is with my old housemate, who we do not speak anymore. This is not a friend of mine at all. But I was like lamenting something in my dream. I was finance related, because scarcity and all kinds of shit that I've been clearing out. And I was like despairing in the dream. I was like, oh my God, who's gonna help me through this? But being fucking dramatic and shit as I am. And my housemate shows up and she's like, I will. And so I knew it wasn't her, because we're not gonna be hanging out. but what does she represent to me? And immediately I was like, oh, the creativity. Like, she was so artistic and like, you know, multiple things, but like I focused on the creativity because that's what first popped into my mind. That's another thing when you're interpreting dreams and energy and cards and stuff. It's just like what first pops into your mind. Don't try to talk yourself out of the first thing. So for me, the first thing that popped into my head was her creativity. And so I knew that that was a message for me, saying that my own creativity is going to get me through this period of like financial stress and, you know, whatever. And it has been. I am on fucking cloud 9, like loving the shit that I am creating and like building. I'm doing movies now, like video editing and shit. And like, no, I'm not getting paid for any of this stuff yet. But like, that's the point. I'm like working on getting to a place where I can take commissions and I've already gotten I just met a person recently and she was like, you do video editing? I need, and she only asked because I was filming for one of my other friends, you know, getting footage for him. And so anyway, as you follow that joy, the universe gives you the people you need to meet to deepen your skills and all kinds of stuff. So big creativity right now. I'm having like a throat chakra thing. And I really don't want to cough, but I've been speaking some very interesting, deep, intense truths. And so that's when you have a... Okay, anyway. So that was my... Oh yeah, sorry. I wanted to finish that creativity thought with like, Jupiter is now in Cancer. And it... Cancer... Well, for me, Cancer is my 5th house. And the 5th house is like creative projects, children, fun, flirty relationships, you know, like it's, but a lot of creative, like projects. So Jupiter is the planet of expansion, and I'm really feeling the expansion of my own creativity. So wherever Cancer is in your chart, you will feel an expansion in those particular areas. And collectively, what that will also mean is like, you know, expansion in how we view family and home and emotional security, and it'll bring a nice abundance in that area, and it will probably not look like what you thought it was supposed to look like. And so it will be beautiful, but it, again, if it's not what you think it should be, it might not feel beautiful because again, Jupiter is planet of expansion. It will also expand, you know, bad things. So anyway, just to say that this is a very abundant feeling energy, and Jupiter spends about a year in a sign, and so we just got that. So he'll be in Cancer through, I guess, May or something of next year. So anyway, we have a nice long period of time where it's going to be, people are already joking about how many babies are going to be born with this Jupiter in Cancer, because Cancer is the mother and, you know, family, and anyway, all kinds of... I don't even know if I said that right, but whatever. Okay, moving on. So yes, dreams, characters in dreams are real, and also they're aspects of you. And so if you're dreaming about something really gnarly, like I would have dreams about serial killers and stuff, I knew that those serial killers were me, and that was it. It not only was like sort of a sign of like, you know, yes, even serial killers are part of this human tribe, and there's no one left behind. This is rehab for everyone right now, and so we're learning to get along and heal, or else. That includes, you know, that kind of thing. But also for me, the serial killer thing, I ended up figuring out that I was the killer of myself. like I kept continuously killing off versions of myself, and by that I mean like, you know, the version of me that believed I wasn't good enough for this or whatever, done. Or like I would stab people a lot in my dreams. So anyway, just like the more violent dreams, I don't get worried anymore when I have nightmares or whatever, because I know whatever I'm facing in the dream is like a level up for me. And so if that brings comfort to anyone, I hope, whatever. And I fucking love talking about dreams. Oh my God, I've talked about dreams for how long? Half an hour of my fucking stream already. Other questions, please bring them, because I freaking love it. But yeah, I'm going to just check my little notesies. Oh yeah, for whom the bell tolls. So tying that into like the rehab and thing that I was just talking about, one of my friends was reading this book called For Whom the Bell Tolls. And of course, when he first said it, I was like, oh yeah, I've read it, because Ernest Hemingway, For Whom the Bell Tolls. And he was like, no, Bell, Belle. And it's like a paranormal romance. So not Hemingway. So anyway, I read the book, and it was very cute. It was very, like, the first little bit of the book, it's a woman who's dying of cancer, and so it's about the afterlife. So it's a little bit rough in the beginning. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can read this book. It's a little too stressful, because I need more lighthearted stuff right now. But it was very quick. It was more like, here's an awful thing that was happening, and then we're going to move into the good stuff. So if you want to read it, I forget the author, but it's, For Whom the Bell Tolls, but Belle. And so it's based in the afterlife, and so it's a big discussion. A lot of it is a discussion on, like, what hell even is, or what paradise even is, and it's very cute and fun. It was also very good at, the romance genre, or like writing and art in general is becoming more resonant with me, where it's kind of like, oh, we have good communication in these stories, and we, enthusiastic consent, and and respect for each other, and like true actual love, not based on conditional anything. And so it was a little not heavy-handed in a bad way, but for me, I was like, oh, I already understand these concepts, and I appreciated that the book existed, but like, it is a little I'm not sure I would recommend it to just anyone if you're already kind of like, you understand that kind of stuff. But one of the things I really, really loved about that book was that it really just talked about hell as rehab. And I'm like, yes, like, that's how and I think on this earth, we call it this, the hell realms and the prison planet and all this stuff. We're in fucking rehab, guys. Like, we needed to work out all these traumas and karmas that we've been carrying with us for lifetimes and eons, and like the Orion War stuff that we're healing right now. That's been going on like millions of years, maybe. Like, it's in linear time. I mean, it's insane. And so we're down here like playing. It's like a hollow suite. I mean, it is real life, but we live in a hologram, so everything is real. But like, it's also, we are eternal souls having a human experience, and so. I don't even know how to finish that thought. I'm just going to read the fucking, I tried to open my third eye and had terrible nightmares and still have them very little good experiences. Yeah, that's going to happen with these awakenings. And all the scary stuff is your own monsters, and your monsters are rejected parts of yourself that you kind of stay away from because of guilt or fear or shame. Any of those heavier, dense emotions. And as you start to call your parts home and find the parts of you that you rejected, those nightmares start to go away, because you're beating the monsters, but you're loving the monsters, really. And so there's nothing to be afraid of, but we have chosen a very fear-based game. So if you have a lot of fear, like I have had a shitload of fear, that's nothing bad. It's fine. We wanted to experience all this fear, but we kind of got lost in the fear, because it's easy to get lost in those denser emotions. And so moving to joy, and that you don't have to live in the haunted house kind of thing. Another plug for my Space Cats Happy Hour podcast, where we have a literal title of an episode. You don't have to live in the haunted house. And it's hilarious because it's episode 17, which for me, 17 has been the fear scarcity based number avatar, that kind of stuff. So sorry that you're going through, sorry that you're feeling bad, but you're on the right track. And really everything scary or anything that triggers those denser emotions is showing you aspects of yourself that are like, I'm lost. I'm in the basement. You don't love me. Like, like, just call me home. And I will give an example of my own. I have really bad emotional lows, like very deep, like the darkness is just like, holy shit. And I didn't realize that I was ashamed of the part of me that enjoyed, or even, whatever, even had the emotional lows, much less enjoy them, because there is a part of me that enjoys it, and I wasn't admitting that. And so a lot of these like monster-y nightmare type things are things about yourself that you don't want to admit are true, because like it's shameful or scary or bad, or you'll be rejected or abandoned or whatever. And it's like, when you accept yourself fully, ain't nobody going to tell you anything. Like, it doesn't matter what other people think, you know, that kind of stuff. So those are why the monsters keep showing their faces, because that's part of our healing. So send you some extra love and healing and good clearing energy for your dream space so that you have easier access to that. You also might try sleeping with some selenite under your pillow, or some other crystal that's very calming, soothing, clearing. I really recommend. I actually have started sleeping with a glass of water by my bed to trap the energies and whatever. And sometimes I put a sprig of rosemary in it, because that's a very cleansing energy too. Anything that means a lot to you, like the protection. And before you fall asleep, you know, put protection in your room. Like, I had an astral session with somebody once, and she was like, imagine putting roses in each corner of your room, and then like gargoyles, you know, gargoyles are protective. They look scary again, but like they're to scare away the entities that want to kind of feed off of your nightmares and that kind of thing. So there's ways around that, but also the best, surest way is to just realize that it's part of you that is that's calling for your love. And yeah, so anyway, good luck with that. You'll be okay. You're going to make it. But I do know that it's a little bit hard. So, but yeah, going back to the rehab thing, where we're just like, we needed to take a second. and the show Lucifer, I've mentioned this before, but the show Lucifer, the concept of hell was that we are in our own rooms. We're in a room with our own worst fear, but the door is unlocked and you can leave anytime. You just have to pass through the fear. And that's what this year has really amped up for us, because the door is not just unlocked, it's wide open. Your dream life is on the other side of that. All you have to do is walk through the monsters, and that includes a lot of triggers and a lot of discomfort and a lot of everything. But as I have gone through these activations of my own masculine and feminine energies this week, I've realized how everything I've been through, I finally could see and feel how that had prepared me for these new things, and it wasn't as big of a deal, and I was able to handle a massive amount of energy flowing through me and activating me, and all these downloads, and everything started making sense. And I was like, whoa, dudes. But I can see how that amount and type of energy will short circuit you, and, you know, this is like go to the loony bin kind of energies. And if you haven't done the spiritual work and, like, you know, the discernment and all kinds of, you know, feelings of safety and security in your own body, it's just going to be a little scarier. You're still safe, everything's fine, but like it's going to feel scarier or whatever. So we're we're just in emotional rehab down here, and there's a lot to, as we all kind of break out of the process, it's like we're helping others up the path with us. And so it's just, I don't know, it's kind of fun. Oh, I follow. Oh, thanks for following me. Very lovely. I have been streaming every other Sunday. I don't have a regular schedule right now, because I don't, at some point, I feel like there will be enough to talk about or whatever to stream more frequently. But right now we're kind of, it's not necessarily a holding pattern, but like right now it's like kind of the same shit that's happening. And then as I go through things that give me other stuff to talk about, it's like, oh, okay, now we can share more about this. And they're usually on a pretty energetically significant week. Like, I always stream on Sundays because I'm helping reprogram the gnarly religious bullshit Sunday school stuff. And so we're having a party at the Midnight Diner and celebrating wins and, you know, talking about truth and all kinds of shit here. And so it's like, yeah, so every other Sunday it's been, and so obviously this is like the solstice, and sometimes it'll be on a new or full moon. So I just kind of like, whenever I get the urge, I do post promos for when I go live. I post them on my TikTok and I post them on Instagram, Dread Pirate KK everywhere or whatever. And so if that'll tell you like when I actually do it, or you'll get notified when I actually stream. So yeah, it'll be whenever my higher self is like, bitch, get out there and do a stream. And I was like, today when I woke up and I was like, I did not get a lot of sleep and it's like too fucking bad. You're going out there. You are going out there. So that's why I was like, I have no idea what we're going to talk about. We're also going to be drawing cards at some point, because I really want to like talk about that. But I just want to take another quick look at my thing, because do I want to talk about that? The delay. Talked about that. I don't know. I do want to say one more thing about this transition energy and the people that are involved in some of this stuff. So, like, I don't know what the Batman, I don't know which Batman movie it was. I think it was one of the Christian Bale ones, where fucking detective, I can't remember fucking anything right now. The main detective guy, whatever. He's like, we don't get the heroes we want, we get the heroes we deserve, or something like that. That's exactly what is happening right now. Like, we have people like Andrew Tate or like Trump, whatever, as well as like Hassan Piker and me, for example. we have the like quote unquote less savory ones, because there are people who are on that frequency. When you look out at the world and you're like, these people are all so annoying, or like this or that, or like there's something, you can judge people for being all kinds of denseness or idiots, or whatever the judgments are. It's like there are people out there who have to resonate on that frequency. And so people like Trump, if you don't like him, it's like he's waking people up, and getting us out of these dreams. And so a lot of these people are going to be unsavory because they've had to transition from the dense old gnarly shit into the lighter shit. And so they're going to have backgrounds of not so nice things a lot of times. And that doesn't mean they are all bad. No one is all good or all bad. Like, and that's partly, this bog witch stuff. It's just like, do the unsavory things you want to do. And unsavory is basically like the stuff that we label illegal, or whatever. It's like, just fucking do it, because none of these people, there are more of us than there are of them. And I know you know what I mean by them. And all we have to do is just start to take our energy away from some of this stuff. But we're going to have these heroes that are helping us through this gnarly transition that we really just want to label terrible people for whatever reason. But we are all on the same team. We're on team humanity, okay? We're the only ones who view ourselves as separate, and like we divide ourselves by race or religion or class, whatever. And all the other aliens in our star family, they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You are royalty. You are one humanity. Why are you fighting each other? And so anyway, we're having the heroes we deserve. So it just to help people kind of maybe loosen the judgments around this stuff. And it was a real wake-up call for me when I started listening to some of the people on the other side of what I identify as. And I don't really identify as anything anymore, but it's just like I started to listen to people who I was told were bad for whatever fucking reasons. And it's like, are they? Okay, but what good are they doing? And I'm just saying, we're going to avert World War III and a bunch of other major nastinesses because of these unsavory heroes or rescuers. And so we're rescuing ourselves, but we need leaders who can help transition us into self-empowerment. And so I obviously would prefer, hilariously, 1222, 222, I would prefer that, people listen to me or people like me, but not everyone is on my frequency. And so that's why it's so important to share your stories and to share your truths, and to also be willing to be wrong and, evolve with your truth, have your truth evolve as the universal truth evolves, and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, I did want to just have that as like a little thing. So listen to people that you don't normally listen to, however you identify. Just try it as like whoever you've been told is bad or other or whatever. Try listening. Just see what you think. Don't let someone else tell you what to think of these people, whoever you're trying to reject. It's like, I don't know, when I found myself agreeing with people I was told that were the worst humans on the planet and literally Hitler and, you know, all kinds of shit, I was like, but they're actually saying some pretty good stuff. And I don't agree with anyone 100% of the time. Like, why would you? That's disgusting. Like, you should agree with yourself 100% of the time, and that's about it. Although I argue with myself, so, like, whatever. I don't know. Anyway. Okay. So what I think I'm going to do is do cards now, because there's other stuff I could talk about, but I feel kind of like we're just going to go. I don't care. All right, so first one is the Lightseer's Tarot. And what I'm doing these days is just picking up the deck and drawing the 13th card. No shuffling, no nothing, no intention, just what the fuck do the cards want to tell us? And 13 for me is the divine feminine number, so. Okay, 13th card. Oh, the Emperor. Okay. This feels very resonant for some of the stuff that I've been going through this week, like not just myself, but other friends, whatever. This is the divine masculine. And I had a massive activation in my divine masculine. And that's, for me, that's like the electric part of stuff, like electricity, you know, blah, blah. Feminine is the magnet, you know, so electromagnetic fields. We have both, feminine, masculine, whatever. So I had a massive electrical activation, and a lot of the masculine energy is getting a massive kick in the ass, basically. And you're going to feel it as, you know, like I did, where it was actually it was a very powerful experience, but it wasn't scary, but it was just like, damn, other people are going through dark nights of the soul, and they're going through breakups and all kind, they're being shown like where they're not living in their truth, and, you know, whatever. So it's a spectrum of stuff, but whatever is happening right now, even if it's bad, it's for an amazing activation. So if you're kind of going through it right now, trust that, like, this is where you're going to end up. Look at this guy. He's just like, he's got it, man. Like, he's built a solid foundation. He is abundant. He's taking care of shit. Like, he's relaxed, you know, like, ain't nobody telling him shit. Like, he's the, you know, the Emperor, man. And that's the energy we're kind of calling in, and you're on your way to becoming this. Just relax and go with the flow. Let me see if other messages come through with the other cards, but right now I'm going to draw. So this is my Galactic Heritage deck, best deck ever. And it's 108 cards, so it's been divided into two little stacks, and so I always draw 2 cards. So, what is the point of building something in yourself if it will get destroyed one day? Excellent question. Well, so many thoughts want to come out. First of all, I think that, yay, cards. First of all, I think that the only constant is change, and our egos like to get attached to identities or thoughts or, you know, whatever, and certain ways of being, certain meanings of truth, that kind of thing. And the truth is ever evolving. Existence is ever evolving. I call it the isness, because it just is. Like, what God is, you know, like, what is God, you know, what are we doing, you know? And so it's like you're kind of fucking around and finding out. That's why failure isn't actually a real thing. I mean, it is, but it's not how we think of it. It's like, it's a data point, you know? It's like, okay, well, this didn't work. Let's try something different. And success and failure at the higher levels of comprehension or whatever, meaning making, they're kind of the same. It's like, oh, this worked, cool. And then you move on to something else. It's like, I mean, celebrate everything. But that's why I also have started celebrating failures, because again, coming from a recovering perfectionist, it's like I was really wrapped up in like, what the fuck, this failure, or this is collapsing, or whatever. And it's like, you built it for a while, you lived it for a while. It's like, okay, I got all the juice out of it. I learned everything I could out of doing that. So now it's time for something else. And that doesn't mean everything is bad about it or needs to be thrown in the trash or whatever. It just means like the stuff that you don't need anymore to keep learning and evolving in your own truth, you just kind of, you build something else. And so those core principles are always with you, but you're just ever evolving. And so that's why it's so nice to finally be able to lean into beginner's mindset, because you're kind of always a student. You're always a teacher, you're always a student. And it's like, if you forget one of those things, you're going to be reminded because things are going to fall apart and you'll be like, oh, I'm learning something all over again or whatever. So anyway, I have a little bit more of a relaxed view on that, but I understand also like feeling, what the fuck? And indeed, what the fuck? That's up to us to kind of figure out like how we feel about this stuff. But we're always contributing to the isness, and that's just kind of, comes with destruction. And that's the balance of divine masculine and feminine. Like the divine feminine destroys, and trash, or the destruction, the aftermath of that, it's the fertilizer for new growth. Again, all those ideas, everything you learned from that destruction, the failure, whatever, is fertilizer. And you get to learn something even better the next time. And it always evolves. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. Mental transformation, Sirius, 94. So that would be 9 plus 4 is 13. Oh, interesting. That's the divine feminine number, 13. I always, numerology, whatever, and then 13, obviously, for numerology. You put, if anyone doesn't know what numerology is, basically, if you want to find out, it's like 1 through 9. Those are the numbers or whatever. And then there's master numbers like 11, 22, whatever. And then also sometimes like 13 for me, it means the divine feminine, so I don't reduce it. But if you were to reduce it to a single number, 1 through 9, all you do is put a plus sign in between each number. So 9 plus 4 is 13, and then you break down 13, 1 plus 3, and that's a 4. So anyway, I like the 13 better, but like also interestingly, the Emperor is number 4. So I was just going to say, this card felt like it was tied into the Emperor because the masculine energies are more logic and reason based, more like the mental space. And so there is obviously a place for that. But like we've been sort of too much in that. So it's become a little bit toxic, and we're not listening to our feminine energies, which is our intuition and heart. So we're kind of moving from a place where our minds and logic and reason have been running the show, and mental transformation, especially those masculine principles of like, capitalism and colonialism and all kinds of shit that have become warped. We're transforming all of those ideas and thought patterns and behaviors, and that is a lot of testimony to Uranus in Taurus, which it has been in Taurus for the last 7 years. It's about to move into Gemini in July, like I said. But anyway, Uranus in Taurus has been the revolution of the body. And so our bodies have been like really loud about what they will and will not do. And so that's why people are, they don't like it's a real, you can fall into a big depression because like you're no longer able to do things that you've always done. Because you're people pleasing or whatever, that kind of thing. And so it's scary, and that's also part of these like tower moments and stuff. But it really does feel like, especially the masculine energies and the logic and reason base, we're really going through a thing. And so Sirius is our. It's interesting that this card came up now too, especially as we're moving into summer, and like the dog days of summer. Sirius is the dog star, and there's an alignment with Sirius. I forget what day it is. People argue about the Lionsgate portal, all kinds of shit. It's like not the real date, not 8 whatever. All portal dates to me feel important, but like I also think that maybe Lionsgate really isn't 8-8 and it's a different day, but who cares? Because like we're all kind of working with these massive energies and like find your truth. But anyway, Sirius is our where a lot of us come from, who are incarnated right now to lead a lot of this transformation. There's a whole, but there's like 22, 23 or what, I don't know, different races who have kind of helped build out humanity, and are here as part of like helping us with the awakening. And by helping us, it means self-empowering so that we save ourselves. They're not gonna there's no external savior, it's all us. And so Sirius is a host to a lot of universities, and I think that's where we go for alien school a lot of times. I think we travel to different places, but like Sirius is very much like the universities and that kind of thing. I have a soul aspect from Sirius, but I have 13 soul aspects, at least that I've uncovered so far. So like you could resonate with Sirius energy, you could also resonate with, other galactic races, whatever. So anyway, the future. Sirius was also involved in the Orion Wars, and so that future energy, as we're kind of clearing out these karma points and extra all the stuff that we've been through, it's like that future healed energy from Sirius and like all that stuff. It's coming into us now to be like, hey, this is your lighthouse. Move this way. Like, remember who you are, kind of shit. So anyway, okay, I'm gonna do. Okay, 13. Let's see. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. The Pleiades, blind enthusiasm. 42, obviously it breaks down to a 6, which for me means bringing back into balance, which speaks a lot to what's been happening. Like bringing our own masculine and feminine energies back into balance kind of stuff. But also 42, for anyone who's a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fan, it's the answer to life, the universe, and everything. So that's a fun little, because those answers are all in your heart, and not the mental space. But anyway, also the Pleiades. So that's another. I have a Pleiadian soul aspect. There's pretty common. Pleiadians are pretty active in the channeling community, that kind of stuff. And so the blind enthusiasm for the Pleiades is they were trying to get involved in, I think, the Orion Wars, because they were like, but this is wrong, we need to help save the whatever planet was being attacked at that time, or whatever civilization, blah blah blah. So they get involved, and the Orions were like, fuck you, and they destroyed one of their home planets, at least on one timeline. Now, there are other timelines where I don't think that planet was destroyed, but like, that's getting into a little bit of a weed situation that I don't even really understand all the way, so I'm just going to say that, but like, I don't really have any other details on that because I haven't quite figured it out yet. But anyway, so we're carrying a lot of this like, go save, the rescuer wound, like, and that's one of the things that we've been healing in particular from the Orion Wars, is like the victim consciousness, the oppressor, victimizer, and then the rescuer. And this kind of speaks to that, at least for me. And I could be reading some of these like guidebooks, but this is what's coming through right now. And I feel like I don't want to read the guidebooks at this point, but I will if it changes, because I'm willing to be wrong. But anyway, the blind enthusiasm of trying to go in and like rescue or play a part in something that like it's not really your business, I guess. And it's really hard because as empathetic beings, we don't want to see suffering. Of course we want to help people. We want to save people, like whatever. But you don't know what other people are going through for their soul growth. And so trying to rescue somebody from something, I mean, it might work for that instance, but then they're just going to go through something else, maybe even worse, or just as bad, to get the soul growth that they came here to have. And this can play, because we're eternal souls, this shit plays out over, I mean, we all know time isn't real. Time is real, but we also exist outside of time. So like linear time, we've been in this for like fucking forever, millions, billions, whatever the amount of years. It's the wound of separation. It's like when we first broke away from, group unity, God consciousness, and decided to have an individual experience. And so we've just been kind of fucking around and finding out, the isness, all that kind of stuff. And one of those things is the rescuer wound. And it's just like, you can't, as much as you want to go in there and do that, rescue people, you can't. And that's been one of my big, that's been a real painful one for me. So if you're kind of going through that, I totally sympathize. But that, I feel like that is also kind of what's on the table right now. We're all just kind of like, we're being overwhelmed with stuff so that we focus on our own stuff. We're purposely being put in burnout. Like, we cannot care about everything that's hitting our news feeds, everything, whatever. We're supposed to be in nature, figuring out our own shit. And by figuring out our own shit, we help other people. And we hear it again and again, put your own oxygen mask on first, blah, 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 blah. But that's the type of shit, the blind enthusiasm. It's like, girl, like, clean up your own bog witch place before you, and so anyway, I'm making light of it a little bit because it is really heavy. And so, I want to honor the grief and like the hard stuff that we're going through, but also the hard, sometimes, jagged truths are like, you can't save anyone. It is up to them to do it for themselves. And I've had to watch people I fucking love destroy themselves, or look like they're going to destroy themselves, like they're going through some real awful shit. And I have to feel bad about it for a while. Like, yes, I have the higher perspective of like, I cannot rescue anyone. They have to go through their own soul growth, yada, yada. But my human parts hurt for them, and so it's important to feel all of that, because that's the experience we're having. We are a multidimensional soul, but we're also fucking human, and we have big feelings. So anyway, then we're going to do our little, I just got the guidebook. The Dragon, Oracle, Diana Cooper. Fucking love these. These are like my 3 main decks. So draw the 13th card from all of them. Okay. 13. I might need to read the guidebook on this, but we'll see. Air Dragon helps. Well, I'll just show you. Air Dragon, which is air, is mental stuff. So tying into the mental transformation, helps you rise above earthly matters, communicate honestly, bring inspiration and hope, see life from a higher perspective. So kind of, again, what we were talking about, the higher perspective. You just have this like, or if you have a projector friend in your life, human design projectors, be like, what do you see down here? if you have a projector you can ask advice of, they'll see the distortion. It's like, this is very projector energy. It's like a bird's eye view of things, and they're like, oh, if you just went this way, you'd cut out a lot of the bullshit or whatever. So anyway, yeah, let me actually read the guidebook for this, because also a lot of birds have been coming through. There's some bird energy here. That's interesting. I'm just gonna, also, I'm like, my eyesight is all going crazy and shit. I'm like, I don't, and I know it's all about upgrades and stuff. Like, we're going to have upgraded, senses and abilities and all kinds of stuff. But in the meantime, as we're getting upgraded, I'm like, nothing fucking works. Okay, so page 20, again with the number 2. All right, and this is not like a huge amount of text, so I'm just gonna quickly read it. But air dragons are 4th dimensional, and they're blue, the color of the sky. Air is the element of communication, and these dragons help us to speak our truth. That is absolutely what the fuck is happening right now. And it's really fun, but if you're not used to speaking your truth, it's a little painful, so sorry about that. Anyway, they also encourage us to breathe properly so that we inhale as much source energy as possible. I'm so grateful. I've been working on breath work and all that stuff for the past several years, because like the breathing through the chaos is like saving my fucking bacon at this point. So I highly recommend breath work. Okay, when air dragons puff their energy over a person or situation, they bring new hope and opportunity. That feels very Jupiterian to me, like Jupiter and Cancer kind of shit. Anyway, we can call on them to exhale over situations to enable resolutions to be taken for the highest good. So again, with the rescuer wound stuff, the blind enthusiasm, it's like, even if you know that you shouldn't go in and rescue or interfere or whatever, you can still basically pray for the highest good. Call in the fucking air dragons and be like, listen, we need some help over here. And it will still play out for the highest good, because whatever happens, even if it is bad, it will kind of cut out some of the extra bullshit if that's good with their soul plan. So anyway, the law of grace is really nice. I call on that all the time, and that's kind of what this is. It's like, by the law of grace, I call in help for, you know, somebody or a situation or whatever, if they can't do it or don't know how or any of that stuff. And it's just like, just trust that it's happening, and your human mind has to let go of how that has to show up, but like, it will happen. All of these beings are real. They're working with us. They're just in different dimensions. So anyway, last little couple paragraphs. Air dragons suggest you take things lightly. Well, that's a message for me. So choosing this card indicates you should relax and look at a part of your life from a higher perspective. Air dragons also inspire you to communicate honestly but lovingly in a way that calms and soothes everyone around you and promotes good outcomes. Honest communication will bring pure white light into your aura, and when this happens, everybody will trust and respect you. Blue air dragons are supporting you as you rise above your challenges. They will help you say the most tactful or inspirational words and assist you to stand in your power with integrity. Breathe blue and white light into your heart center, and as an air dragon appears in front of you, breathe the light over it. In this way, you are energizing and motivating it so that it will always be connected to you. It is time to decide on your next step, so be clear about what you really want. Your air dragon will accompany you as you fly towards your chosen destiny. Well, I'm gonna just, I couldn't have said it better myself. So there you go. I have another little, I saw the chat, but I wanted to finish the card reading. Since I was a kid, me and my brother both had apocalyptic dreams, especially with tsunami waves. That scares you a lot. Also, in a lot of my dreams, the weather is always dark at night and really sunny or anything like that. Yeah, I've been having dreams where it's at night, and I feel like that's probably partly representing the subconscious, because the subconscious is dark and the consciousness is light, and it's also like the internal landscape. So there's something that you're kind of digging through the dark for, but like, again, you are your own lighthouse kind of thing. So there's nothing to be scared of. The darkness is also just you. And the this thing got my hair. Oh my god, it felt like a bug. And the apocalyptic dreams, especially with tsunami waves, that's Atlantis memories. Like, we lived through Atlantis. This is kind of like a mirror point in time. We're in the age of Aquarius. Well, we're not really in the age. We're in the age of. We're moving into the age of Aquarius, whatever, and we're not there yet. But age of Leo was when Atlantis fell, and I think each age lasts about 2,000 years or something like that. So anyway, 13,000 year cycles, blah blah blah. So we're at the mirror point opposite of Atlantis, and so the stuff that we're trying to do now, ascension wise as a planet, we also were attempting in Atlantis, and it went wrong. It went fucking sideways, and part of that was the fall happened on purpose. We wanted to experience that major cataclysm and all kinds of shit that went down, you know, but at another level, it was like the ascension was hijacked by people who did not have beings who did not have humanity's best interests at heart. And so that's kind of what we've been living through the past 13,000 years. And so, one of the things that people remember from Atlantis is tsunami waves and stuff. And other people remember like fires and, you know, other kinds of things. So not everybody remembers tsunamis, but yeah, a lot of those apocalyptic dreams are memories of the fall of Atlantis. And so you were there. Congratulations. You're accessing your memories. And a lot of those fears in the dream space, especially because it's like the apocalypse and whatever, we are in the apocalypse, but the apocalypse is a Greek word that means unveiling. And the unveiling is like what doesn't fucking work so that we can build something that does work. So it's really, you know, the fear narratives around the apocalypse and stuff. It's like, you know, it's another hijacking attempt, but it's not going to work this time because we're all just like, I see what you're up to. And so, yeah, we had some disasters in Atlantis, and now we're coming out of it. And so again, like I said, the fears of those tsunamis. The reason they're nightmares, obviously, it was a crazy nightmare situation, and it was fast and sudden, and it was real gnarly. Okay, it was real fucking gnarly, and I don't have all my memories back from that, but I have had dreams of Atlantis and some of that stuff, which I think is hilarious because like when I was growing up and I believed in all kinds of shit like dragons and I read fantasy, sci-fi. I was just like, those were my like that was so real to me. But Atlantis was a step too far. I was like, fucking, that's not real. I had such a huge block around that, and I just wasn't time for me to remember my Atlantis memories. So now it's hilarious to me that I was like, Atlantis isn't real. And now I'm like, oh wait, I got memories. So yeah, don't even worry about it. We're afraid of the things happening in Atlantis. We're afraid of what happened in Atlantis happening again, but that's not what's going to happen. We've done the Atlantis thing, and now we're doing something different, which is success and the golden timeline. And we're merging timelines because, again, with all this stuff, like I just said about the Pleiadian planet that was blown up, it was blown up on one timeline, but it does exist on another timeline. And so, again, like my podcast partner, Zaddy Cat for Space Cats Happy Hour, they have felt into how Atlantis on another timeline was actually successful. And so we are kind of all the destruction timelines and all the whatever, we're kind of all coming into alignment. And I don't want to like speak on it too much because I don't really have a lot of things to say about it because I don't really understand it all yet or whatever, but I do resonate with that truth, that there's something more. That's all I know is that it feels like there's just something more to the story, whatever. Oh, we have another person. Atlantis civilization was cleansed by water. This one will now be cleansed by air. That resonates, actually. Oh, that really resonates. Especially with the air dragon coming through and the mental transformation. And we're moving into, because with Pluto in Aquarius is an air sign. Uranus is moving into Gemini, another air sign. Those are going to be trining each other, which is a supportive aspect in astrology. It's a very supportive aspect. And so we're going to go through, we're in like an age of air kind of shit. So that makes total sense to me. And it's funny because that explains why I keep saying things like, write new stories, decolonize your mind. Like there's something with the air, the words, the communication, like this, it keeps coming through, but I don't know how to, it's all coming together. But sometimes these messages come out and I'm like, I know I'm saying them and I know they resonate, but I don't really know why. So that's very interesting. Air is also thought, purity, air purity, disease too in the air. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the things that we're going to be getting with this, like, Aquarius is air that purifies water. Yeah, the water bearer. That makes total sense. It's like that trining aspect, the age of air that we're in. There's going to be a huge amount of technological advancements, and we're already humans elsewhere in the planet. I'm not creating this, but there are humans out there who are creating technologies that can fix basically anything we have a problem with now, and pretty quickly. Those technologies are being suppressed or have been suppressed, but that's no longer possible. There's no energy. Like, it's so what we're in the middle of now is like the butterfly, the caterpillar becoming the butterfly, and like as the butterfly, the fucking whatever it's called, the caterpillar, I can't talk. Whenever the caterpillar, it reaches a point in its DNA, it's like coded to turn into whatever, and it cannot fight it, and so its DNA starts changing. It starts to become goo, no matter how much, and part in the caterpillar's body starts to fight that, and it's like, no, I don't want to do. It's like the refusal of the call. It's like, no, I'm not going to become goo, like blah blah blah. But after a certain amount of time, the changes are just overwhelming, and it happens anyway. And that's what we're in the middle of. Like, there are powers that are trying to stop our transformation, but there's too much. It's like we're all it's like this wave coming down, and we're not, no matter what they try, it's not going to work. We are becoming the butterfly or the dragonfly in human design speak, or gene keys or something like that. So anyway, yeah, that's, we're going to be fine, but it's bumpy bus ride. So yeah, we're gonna be, and like I've even heard of technologies that sound magic is basically science that hasn't been explained yet, kind of, in a lot of ways, including superpowers and, you know, all kinds of things. There's like natural laws to the universe that we've been just taught are not real, and like magic is just for stories and whatever. And it's like, actually, no, it's absolutely real. And all the stuff that we're going to be moving into, we can clear out everything. But again, even though I know we're going to succeed, that doesn't mean we do nothing. We have to do the things. So taking action is very important. And so, yeah, invent this stuff, and we'll move into that. Thanks. I'm amazing. I'm always right. So anyway, I'm probably going to leave it at that, because that was the end of the card deck thing, and it feels pretty complete. But if people have questions, I'm happy to answer them. I am assuming I'm going to be streaming again in 2 Sundays, but again, I will get the nudge and announce it the day before on my TikTok and Instagrams, or you'll get the notice when I go live. I was starting at 1:17 p.m. Eastern, just because that time resonated, whatever. But now that there's no air conditioning, I mean, now that it's summer and there's no air conditioning, like maybe a little bit earlier in the morning. So I'm going to probably stick with 11:17 a.m. Eastern. And yeah, welcome to the Midnight Diner, motherfuckers. We're here to celebrate wins. And I really think it's important, like, you know, as we close out this, you know, thing, this session or whatever, to kind of sit for a second and like take a deep breath with the air dragons and be like, listen, look at all the things I have done. And if you're in the middle of a lot of bullshits or whatever, know that you're right on track. Like everything you're supposed to be feeling, or everything you're going through, you're supposed to be going through, and make sure you feel all those feelings. A lot. I've been crying and throwing tantrums a lot over the past few years. And it's because when we bury emotions and we bury, you know, things that we want to hide from, they got to have somewhere to go now that we're moving into a higher dimension. Like we were in a density, in a dimension where we could hold all those things in our bodies, all the traumas and shit. Air dragons, so heart dragons. I don't know what heart dragons are. Oh, I don't know if you were here, but I drew the air dragon. That's why I was talking about air. Oh, wait, you were here. Anyway, sorry. I don't know. I'm a little bit scattered because I'm coming to the end of my energy, and I'm just like, oh my God, what's going on? But yeah, celebrate your wins, and know that we have a ton of support. The ancestors are loud as fuck right now. I have my grandparents with me all the time. Like it's amazing. And even the veil between us and nature is kind of coming down. Like, oh, air is also for the heart chakra. Gotcha. I didn't know that, I don't think. Interesting. You learn something new every day. But yeah, there's a shitload of help right now. But because my friends, one of my friends, they don't do astrology or any of that stuff, and I was saying something about yet another crunchy transit, and they were like, so whenever you talk about astrology, it's kind of like always crunchy? Is there ever any good? And I was like, sorry. Actually, yes, there's a lot of supportive energy right now, but it's also supportive to like do this healing. And so even the supportive aspects may feel a little crunchy because it's support in helping us purge the demons from our DNA, basically. And so your diet is going to change, the things that you want to do. Everything's changing right now, and just follow along with your body. Like for a while, I wasn't eating meat at all, and now I go through phases or whatever, but like when everyone was talking about vegetarianism and stuff, I was like, I still feel like I need to eat meat. But now the past few months, I haven't eaten hardly any, and it's just, I ask what my body wants, and sometimes it's different. So if you've been a vegan, for example, you may be called to eat meat at some point, and if you don't want to, I understand that, but also like, we have to listen to the body. We can't listen to external authorities. Our bodies are going to tell us what they need to survive. And we are not our bodies. We are our souls. And the souls are in this like VR experience of like being in this consciousness-based vehicle that is a body. And so we have to take care of it. And no one else can tell us how to do that except for us. And that's not to say you can't get advice from people and stuff, but like try things Anyway, I don't know why I'm going off on that, but like, anyway, May was super chill. Oh my God, May was chill for you? Oh my God, May was so hard for me. I was like, it wasn't as hard as March and April, but like May was, although May was fun because that's the month I go to Mothership Music Festival with my best friend from college. Yeah, listening to the inner clock, exactly. So like, I'm gonna wrap it up, but just to give you another little, we have to pull out the dragon to give you some hugs and some love and support, and your team is with you. You know, your higher self is this magnificent, multi-dimensional being, and that's you. You are amazing. Don't let anybody fucking tell you otherwise. Like all this programming telling you that no, you're awesome. So on that note, I love you, and I will see you next time.